from 1 to 3 p.m. to take you through the conversation around politics. And this is the idea. Conversations or stories that would always speak randomly across our news outlets, the newspaper, the radio, the TV, our internet spaces, and all of that. On Big Politics, we break it down, we take it beyond the surface, we investigate, we speak to the actors, we speak to the stakeholders, we try to fill up the 5 W's and H that involves the individuals or the stories that we're talking about. So it's always a detailed space for us to discuss issues that affect governance, especially political issues. Well, I'm sure you've been following the narrative in Kaduna State. The House of Assembly has set up a committee to investigate or to probe the spendings of the immediate past governor of the state, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, from 2015 to 2023. Well, it's a different conversation. I watched this chairman of House Committee on Appropriation for Kaduna State on TV today, Honorable Dandaura Mugu, and he was talking about the fact that this is not a political witch hunt, this is not this, it's about the people asking questions. That is on one side. And remember again that on Monday, the news filtered in that the APC in Kano, especially from the ward of the current national chairman of the party, has suspended the national chairman. And just while the conversation was going on, another news filtered in again that the ESCOs at the ward level that suspended the chairman have also been suspended. So the suspension of the chairman remains null and void. But yesterday, the High Court in Kano had affirmed the suspension of Abdullahi Ganduje, meaning all things being equal or waiting for the implementation of the NWC of the ruling All Progressive Congress, whatever befell the former chairman of the party, talking about the current senator representing Edo North Senatorial District as Senator Adams Oshiomhole, could also happen to Ganduje if the party decides to uphold the suspension of Ganduje and everything else we need to know. We're streaming this program live, by the way, so you can watch us and have an idea of what the studio setting looks like. And again, if you want to see my guest, is here. Well, today on the show, Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura joins me in the studio, and like I've been running this conversation since Monday, Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura is a security consultant, an author, and an intelligence analyst. So today on the show, we're going to try to look at how security can stand as a backbone for development and nation building. And we're going to focus on the Nigerian war on crime and criminality. So we have a lot to talk about on the show today. Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Nice to be here. Good afternoon, listeners.
I say I have to appreciate this because I know each time we have you join us on the show, the feedback is always something different, especially from the people where you're coming from. They're always asking, how do you manage to get doctor into your studio in Lagos? And those of us over there can barely get our hands on him. So we're privileged and we appreciate your time. For every single time you choose to be with us on Mainland FM, we appreciate you and thank you yet again today.
Good to be here.
Okay, but let me ask you straight up. Okay, let's keep the phone lines first. We've not even started the conversation yet. You've been in Lagos since I think Saturday, and then you'll probably be leaving tomorrow. Each time you come into Lagos, what stresses you the most, and when you leave, what do you miss the most?
Well, you know, traffic is always an issue when you come into Lagos, and then, you know, I thought that I was going to be sweating and just you know, flowing in water when I came into Lagos, but the weather was really pleasant. You know, when I came in this time, I observed that it was raining. It has been raining. And since I've been here, I've noticed 2 rainfalls already, and we already feel very comfortable here because at the end of the day, the weather is really comfortable. Probably very close to what how I feel in Jos.
Interesting. So when you leave, what do you miss the most about us in Lagos?
Well, probably most of what I miss is Mainland nice studio. The studio is really nice, and your new studio. The last time I was here, it was different, but it was still good. And this is really nice what you have here. So I celebrate your leadership and the skill to put this together and give listeners better output. And of course, the connections that I have with friends like you and the different groups that are coming here to conference with. At that level, Lagos has a different networking level, different connection level. And so when you get away, you wish that everywhere had that same networking possibilities.
Interesting. I'm sure Lagosians listener will feel really proud. It's a land of possibilities, endless possibilities. And I could always say, if you are not wise in Lagos, I don't know where else you want to pick your wisdom from. Once again, Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura, it's my pleasure to have you join us on the show today.
Thank you.
So let's get straight up into the conversation. We're going to look at the discourse today will be centered around two major things. First had to be the issue of security. We're having a conversation downstairs before we came upstairs, and I make reference to one of the things that Mr. Maiwa'azi, the chief political editor of Guardian newspaper, said about 2 weeks ago on the show. He talked about the fact that if we are able to fix our security and power challenges in this country, we've literally overcome about 60% of our problems. Now let me straight up from there. Events of the last maybe 25 years of this stretch of democracy from 1999 had left a lot to be desired. Now, under the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, we had the militants, the Niger Delta militants, constantly disturbing the peace of this country. And it's always about marginalization, it's always about them not getting enough. And within that period, a lot was done by the then president. Bring it to the late Umar Musa Yar'Adua. When he came into office, the first thing he said was to offer amnesty to the Niger Delta militants. Bring your weapons, submit your weapons in return for amnesty, scholarship, job opportunities. We would establish commissions, we would investigate. I think he was even the one that brought up the whole conversation around establishing the Ministry of Niger Delta. Now, take it further. A man from Bayelsa, from Otueke specifically, was the vice president, which eventually became the president and ran to return in office in 2015, and he lost. So within that period, the conversation moved from the Niger Delta militants. Boko Haram started. It got so bad. I remember when I was posted to Jos in 2014 for NYSC. It was in the heat of the old madness build up to the 2015 election. I was on air one day, and the twin bomb blasts that happened at Terminus literally shook the foundation of that state. The transmitter in my studio went down. It went off. It was that bad. And the press, being the press, did everything they could to control the situation. But at the end of the day, over 300 people reportedly died in those two twin bomb blasts. And from that insurgency, banditry came in, cattle rustling came in, and within that period, kidnapping started like a child's play. Then it became a national issue. Initially it was, it is a northern problem, it is their problem. But it started trickling down home, one after the other. We started hearing of kidnappings in Ekiti, in Oyo, in Lagos, and it became a national concern. People can't travel, people don't feel safe. We moved away from that, or in the midst of that, then we had constant attack on public facilities, the airports. There were almost about 7 successful jailbreak under the last administration, when the former governor of Osun State, Rauf Aregbesola, was the Minister of Interior. So we had all of that still dealing with. Now we have agitators from the Niger Delta militants agitating for inclusiveness, for equality. They don't want to be marginalized anymore. If the oil in Bayelsa is for everybody, the gold in Zamfara should not be for one person. The agitation also started growing. Then in the southeast we have the IPOB. It became a big issue. They started having leaders. Someone apart from Finland, Maiwa'azi Kano had his own issue as well, still battling those issues. In the northwest, in the north central, and now in the southwest, on Saturday in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State, men with military uniforms, branded uniforms, Yoruba Nation soldiers, as their badges, were made a failed attempt to overthrow power from the governor of Oyo State. If you look at the Agodi government house, there's the governor's lodge, the governor's office, there's the Oyo State House of Assembly complex, there are media houses. Literally all of the major ministries are centered around that place. And these individuals, armed with weapons, marched to the seat of power to overthrow the government and declare the Yoruba nation. Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura, I needed to take you through this step one after the other so that we know where we are and where we're going to if we don't handle this issue well. Is this a case of let us use what we have as agitators to get what we want from the government? Let us start the conversation from there, Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura.
Well, this is what happens when people are denied social justice, social welfare, and you have all kinds of applied injustices, reigning in the land. Injustices that include distributive injustice. There are developments that are skewed, depending on what region you come from, and so development injustice. You also have the issues of comprehensive corruption on all sides, creating drastic oppressions of the people. And when you live in a nation where they tell you we have so much potential, so much possibility, you are seeing the flow of wealth, and yet you cannot feel the impact of that wealth for yourself. All you get is zero income. I don't work for government, and those who don't work for government probably will constitute close to about 80% of the population. And so if you don't work for government and you are not earning income from government, you are basically disadvantaged. Unfortunately, government has created policies that continue to oppress the people. Policies such as the withdrawal of fuel subsidy. That issue will never go away from Nigeria until government truly addresses that problem. Government tells us they are giving all kinds of palliatives, giving all kinds of social services that will reach the people. I conducted research in 5 states, interviewing 100 people in each of those states. And out of those 500 people, we couldn't get 50 people that have been impressed or reached by any government social provision. No intervention has reached them. And so when people feel they have become prey in the hand of a government that is uncaring, a government that seems to be unthinking, a government that is insensitive and irresponsive, what will come next to mind is the thought of revolution. Revolutionary ideas come to mind, and then of course there are revolutionary merchants or misguided visionaries who have their own interests. They will pursue their interests and they will press on the innocent citizens, give them arms and send them to government house in Ibadan to take over government and announce the Oduduwa nation. That's what is happening here.
Okay. Now, this whole agitation did not start today. I talked about the IPOB. In fact, within the Niger Delta region, remember the Ogoni story, Kensaroriwa, they were all Exactly. They are all social justice seekers.
Yeah.
Issues of marginalization, issues of, you cannot be degrading our lands, you cannot be messing up our waters, you cannot be polluting our lands, and they will not see anything, will not benefiting from it. Those are it's something that had over time continued to grow. You made mention of social justice. In the case of rehabilitation, for instance, you rehabilitate someone that was probably captured as a prisoner of war, and then the person that he committed those crimes against did not get justice. Those people are living in IDP camps, and the people that committed the crime have been rehabilitated and sent back into the society. Those are major challenges. But more than ever, the incident of Saturday, how significant was that particular incident? Remember, when Sunday Igboho started this conversation of Yoruba nation, it has a connection or roots from Osun State to Oyo State. How significant do you think that issue of Saturday was for them to have made that attempt from Oyo State, that a lot of people accept that that's the cradle of Yoruba history? How significant was that location specifically?
I believe that the person who sent them there and they themselves knew that they were not going to change the situation, but they were making a statement to Nigerians, statement to the federal government. It wasn't so much about taking over the state. It's just a social justice statement. And the reality was that they knew they would soon be overpowered. The police will come in. If police fail, the army would come in. They knew that. But man, when your back is pushed to the wall, what do you expect me to do? I'm not commending them for making the statement the way they made the statement. But when people are pushed to the wall and there is no more land to move forward, the best thing is to begin to react. Unfortunately, this is not going to end in Ibadan. It is going to spread. It's spreading around the nation. People are going to be tempted to make more political and social justice statements all around the nation just to capture the attention of the government. And the question is the government listening? Are they hearing what the people are saying to them? Because it's become just impossible. A few days ago, we were told that Band A power consumers were going to have over 300% increase on their
tariffs,
on their tariff. And I live in a place where I was unfortunately classified as Band A. Ordinarily, before then, when I go to buy power, I buy power with 25,000 naira for 3 weeks. Last week, when I sent for power, they bought power for me. I sent 50,000 naira, thinking that I was going to beat the process so that I can get the old rate before the new rate came to stream. And when they came back to me with 50,000 naira, with 25,000 naira beforehand, I bought 336 units. And with 50,000, they came back to me with about 200 units. And I said, what do you mean? What is this? That means that I'm going to be spending over 100,000 naira for power in a month. And I asked myself, this is not realistic. How can I survive this? Now, if I have boys that are following me, who are willing to risk their life for me, I am going to attack government house in Jos to make my own statement. And imagine that this is going to happen, is happening on a national scale. People are going to react from all over. So these people were coming from the backdrop, the setting of, it is impossible for us to survive the way you guys are ruling us. Something has to happen differently.
So it takes us back to the conversation of good governance. And now, how important is the government's reaction to this particular one? On the 29th of May, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sworn in, the first statement he made was to officially announce the removal of subsidy, and that instantly had a ripple effect. Prices of commodities in the market had gone up. In fact, as at last week, the food inflation index had gone up 40%. Fine, the dollar is coming down from 199 is about 1,150 or thereabouts, but the cost of items in the market is still going up. Now, how much do you expect the government to react if you're saying that all of these agitations are from a place of, poor governance, bad government policies? What do you expect the government to do to arrest this situation? The one that happened in Oyo State failed, just like you said. It was not exactly an attempt to commit treason as such. It was, according to you, to make a statement. But if this statement continues to be made,
it's just impossible for them to take over government
by the virtue of the fact that maybe they don't have the numbers or they don't have the support. But if it continues to grow like this, people continue to want to get involved, and like you said, the agitations and the merchants would certainly bring their interest into this. Dr. Dandaura, what should the government do to prevent a reoccurrence of what happened in Ibadan on Saturday? And like I said, this is Ibadan we're talking about. This had been I was in Asaba and Onitsha 3 weeks ago. On Monday, Easter Monday, there was sit at home in Anambra, in Onitsha. We drove into town and I was asking my friends why is everywhere quiet? I thought this was supposed to be the commercial. They're like, guy, today is Monday and they sit at home. And I was like, interesting. Everywhere was shut down on a Monday.
Wow.
So, to avoid instances like this, how intentional do you think the government should be, Dr. Dandaura?
The first thing that government needs to do is to stop lying to themselves. I'm sure that you have heard that political jargon that economists have created for government to keep trumpeting. They keep telling you Nigeria will get difficult before it gets better. And for me, it is a political jargon that is very unrealistic, because as it is today, we had all of this during Buhari's regime. Towards the end of Goodluck Jonathan, we also had all of that. But these things will get better, for me. It's actually a jargon that represents poor governance, fragile government management, and the poor management of government resources and the use of power and authority. Secondly, if government would like to change what is happening, they must be intentional on 3 levels. Number 1, if they would like to conduct a survey or research, send their people out to find out what is happening in the community. The reality is, you cannot sustain Nigerians the way it is going. And we should stop lying to ourselves. Removal of subsidy, it's impossible for a nation like Nigeria. It's impossible. You cannot sustain what is happening. There is no nation in this world that does not subsidize something for its citizens. I don't work for government. I don't earn salary from government. So what do I get from government? Just the road? Just the air that is polluted with insecurity? And so government must intentionally reconsider the issue of removal of subsidy, even if it is not restoring it back fully, at least 80%. They must do something in that department that will put resources in the hands of people like me, who are not contractors. They do not work for government in any way. They do not work for corporate organizations in any way where they make block money. It is the subsidization of petroleum prices and things like that that reach me. The farmer in the farm, the ordinary student in the school, the mama who is selling bread on the street. I mean, those people, because when you withdrew your subsidy, everything went south. I mean, everything went, berserk. And you think about it, a super developed nation like America still has subsidies. They give subsidies to their farmers. They give subsidies to their students. In fact, they even give subsidy to their government and corporate organization workers. When you do your tax return, I schooled in the US, for goodness sake, straight for 15 years. When you do your tax return, government subsidizes the taxes that you pay. It returns back money to you, and none of that is happening in Nigeria. For instance, you do not have job in the US, you will get social welfare support. It doesn't matter what state you reside in, you are going to get social welfare support, and according to your level of deprivation, they will give you support. And so the reality for us is we are getting no other subsidy, but government is still considering that we can continue life. Everything is being escalated. Power price is going up. Everything is going up. So government must consider the issue of subsidy. The second thing they must do is to correct the dollarization of our economy. They must find their way. The economies that are working with them must find their way to creating normalization for the price of the dollar for Nigerians. If the price of the dollar would come down, many other things will also be affected. And then government must also look at the way of creating basic social welfare for the ordinary people on the street. If we can design those policies on those three levels, you will see Nigerians bounce back, and believe me, this government may stand the chance of coming back. That is if we depend on true election. They will stand the chance of coming back, because anybody who rolls back the price of petrol for Nigerians and the prices of things get normalized, believe me, and you ask yourself, why are we rolling back? Why are we taking away subsidy when people's income power has remained the same? The civil servant who has been earning his salary in the last 15 years is still earning the same thing. Nothing has changed, and you are telling us it will get worse before it gets better, and I'm not earning any better, and my power price is going up, food prices are going up, transportation is going up, everything is going up. From which income do you intend for me to sustain what is happening? And look at the Band A issue. I'm worried about that, because I am head and neck in it. Look at the Band A issue. You tell me that you are giving me power for 20 or 24 hours. Which is unrealistic in this country.
Absolutely.
There's no place in Nigeria, probably Aso Villa, but there's no place in Nigeria. I am in Band A, but I don't get power for probably up to 15 hours a day. But I am classified as Band A, and I am going to be paying 3 or 4 times more what I used to.
Whether you get light or not.
Whether I get light or not. And my question is, it is a no-brainer. The economists who invented this theory, where was his brain when he was inventing this theory? If I am in Band A and you are giving me light for 24 hours, I must pay for those 24 hours. Now, that means that I am already paying the price of receiving light for 24 hours. So why punish me by increasing my money 4 times? When the man who is receiving power for 5 hours will pay only for 5 hours, I am paying the power supplier for 24 hours. I'm already paying higher than the man in Band C. So why are you hiking my price? Why? It's just a no-brainer, because it's government setting out to impoverish the people that their voices might be kept down. This has to change. And we're talking about changing the situation. Government was also design programs around social justice, design programs around very practical social welfare supply to the ordinary people, and people must have ways of meeting their basic human needs that presently do not exist. If we are going to end the issue of agitation, government must do these things pronto.
Thank you. Now let's talk about the issue of intelligence. Let's take it back a bit to the conversation around its security. On the show today, we're looking at how the nation can constantly develop, because we're looking at a country that has so much land that we can farm, and then have no business talking about having food shortage, food challenge, food crisis, and all of that. But the farmers can't go to farm because of insecurity. Some of it's really difficult. Now, you've always been key when it comes to issue of intelligence gathering, information gathering. Have we gotten any better? In Kaduna, some times ago, people were accidentally killed, and one would expect that for such an activity to be carried out, intelligence must have been properly gathered and processed. Over 100 people were mistakenly bombed, according to the report. And that is not the first time. That is one out of many situations. In Zamfara, in Jigawa, in Kaduna, there have been instances like that. I think how important it is for us to have a decent intelligence network of agencies that can help us to solve our security challenges in this country.
Well, you see, the government intelligence agencies will tell you they are doing well and that we have enough intelligence gathering going on. But I will still tell you today, my research around the nation, there's practically no state in this country that I do not have research partners, and we work together to generate and analyze events, collect intelligence from the events happening and suspected events that would happen, and we analyze them and we write our papers. We generate papers that would support government, we publish them, and whether government is listening, it's another problem. So when government agencies tell you that they are gathering enough intelligence, well, intelligence cannot end with government agencies. In fact, government agencies can only give government probably 25% of the intelligence requirement that can be used in governance. The other 75% comes from the community. Unfortunately, the community has not been organized in any way to contribute in intelligence supply. In fact, DSS, police intelligence, military intelligence, would prefer that you don't collect intelligence, because it looks like you are challenging them and telling them that they are not doing their job. Unfortunately, in developed countries, it is the community that actually collects intelligence for these agencies. The agencies rely heavily on informants within the community, and so such knowledgeable governments would train community members on how to collect intelligence, on how to develop their own means of penetrating crime rings, penetrating areas where there are possible insecurity outflow, and places where you have had shootouts, and these informants collect information and they pass them on to agencies like FBI, CIA, and local state and local government and state intelligence agencies, who then go ahead to do a lot of interpretation and analysis and produce products out of those things that are being supplied by the agencies. Will DSS tell you that they have informants in communities? Will the police intelligence system tell you they have informants in communities? That is where the weak point is. The weak point is not in what DSS and the police intelligence or military intelligence are doing. The weak point is in the fact that we cannot know what's happening in the community because we do not live there. How many DSS people live in the community? How many police intelligence people live in the community to know what is happening? So the first thing that government needs to do is to innovate a system of intelligence collection within the community. Develop intelligence teams, intelligence groups among youths, among civil servants, amongst corporate business organizations, and then train them to be more aware, more sensitive, more conscious, and more alert to the environment at all times, especially when using public transportation, when using conveniences, when going for shopping in public places, because these are the places, going to places where you recreate and relax. Those are the places you really get the story. For instance, US actually was able to break into the Al-Qaeda network because of information that came from drinking houses. All right, people who were in eating places were telling stories about how Al-Qaeda had her cell and what they were doing, and CIA used all of those information and then created analysis that led them to the places that they went to create all the arrests that they were able to make in the US, because America had already been infiltrated, and it came from ordinary informants from the community. So the weak point of our intelligence gathering system is the community. The second weak point is the issue of intelligence analysis. Okay, you gather intelligence in DSS, you do not have appropriately trained analysts, intelligence analysts, and you pass this uncooked intelligence to the office of the NSA. And the office of the NSA is also struggling with problems of intelligence analysis, because they also do not have appropriately trained intelligence analysts. And then you pass this disconnected and disjointed, uncooked intelligence to the president, and the president is a very busy man. His advisors are also very busy, struggling with all kinds of information coming from everywhere, and your intelligence was not properly analyzed, it was not properly interpreted. And how do you expect action to happen? Action cannot happen because analysis is lacking, or it is weak, or it is totally absent. So we need to improve on intelligence analysis, whether it is at the agency level, at the NSA level, or at the presidential office level. All of those things must be properly covered for us to be able to see government giving us appropriate action.
Okay, well said. You've always been a huge advocate of security being taken to the grassroots, the involvement of the community people. But one significant thing that the country is really battling with is the issue of small arms and light weapons. In 2012, the ECOWAS actually raised a communique and told all of the member states to set up committee that would supervise the mopping up of light weapons, small arms across the country. And very recently, from a research, I found out that about 70% of the small arms and light weapons along the Sahel region are actually in Nigeria. After the fall of the Libyan leader Gaddafi, a couple of those weapons actually found their ways into the black market and saturated the Nigerian market. And from 2012, that's about 12 years ago, almost all of the member states have implemented these committees. But even though we have this committee in the country domiciled under the office of the NSA, but it is not fully functional. Dr. Dandaura, have we failed in mopping up all of these small arms? And this is what I mean. From research, the market value of AK-47, I've not checked recently, maybe as at middle of last year thereabout, is between 600,000 and 800,000. So when people start saying that they see AK-47 with cattle herdsmen or cattle breeders, and almost like, how much do they make for them to afford those weapons? And again, you also look at the fact that a lot of states have discovered local fabricating networks, warehouses where guns are being fabricated in large and commercial quantity. Dr. Dandaura, are we suffering from our decision not to pay attention to that particular communique 12 years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
And again, you also look at the fact that a lot of states have discovered local fabricating networks, warehouses where guns are being fabricated in large and commercial quantity. Dr. Dandaura, are we suffering from our decision not to pay attention to that particular communique 12 years ago?
Very good.
As where we are now.
So let's give it the background and the setting. 1998, ECOWAS came together and they adopted a moratorium. Moratorium simply means a freeze. They adopted a moratorium on the importation, the exportation, and the manufacture of small arms and light weapons. And to strengthen that freeze, they created a structure called ECOWAS Protocol in 1999. That was when General Obasanjo was just coming into power. And that protocol was related to the mechanism for conflict prevention, conflict management, conflict resolution, peace building, and security. The intention was to make provision for the control of these small and lightweight arms. However, Nigeria came into the fray during the PDP government. They decided that they were going to create a structure, or set up an organization that will manage this ECOWAS Protocol of 1999. And the Presidential Committee on Small Arms, PRESCOM, came into play during that PDP government. And they created the organization. In fact, I was privy to some of the employments that were made, employment letters were given, up to General Buhari's regime. They were still making employments, preparing for the takeoff of that organization or that structure. However, the APC government has not really given the structure the financial boost and the support that it required to really come to full. They set this structure up in every state. They were going to have state directors, and they were going to have operatives in each directorate, and their job was to reach out to these arms and try to reclaim them. In fact, they had very beautiful intentions, very beautiful motive, and very beautiful programs to kind of support and pay for the recollection of some of those arms. But the problem is government has not really done what it needed to do in support of those employments that were made. And so those small arms are still wandering around. You talk about seeing Fulani herdsmen with AK-47. I'm a practical example. I've driven all around this country by road in the time past. Thank God that one can go fly now, you know. But when I was driving around Nigeria, I would leave Jos to Port Harcourt, and from all the way from Jos to Port Harcourt, you would see herdsmen. I don't want to call them Fulani because I don't know whether they also employ Idoma and Igbo people to, you know,
to breed cattle.
You know. So, but just driving by the road in my car, I would see these Fulani herdsmen with AK-47 straddled on their shoulders, and I asked myself, what's going on here? They would come to the town and collect our den guns that you use smoke to shoot with, and then here are these Fulani herdsmen with AK-47 on their shoulders. We hide our den guns because we fear that if they know we have den guns, they'll come and collect them. But here are these people, you know, brazenly showing off their AK-47 up to date. Opeyemi, up to date. That is happening. And so we began to do research. What's going on? One herd came through my house. I have a fence. They broke through my fence, came through my house, and of course they were very equipped and to graze in it. And I asked them, why are you passing through my compound? You broke my wall to come in here. And they'll tell me that the cattle route passed through my land. And I said, no, The day I fenced my land, cattle route ended. And there was a scuffle. And the young men ran, and their phone fell. And when we took the phone, whose phone number were we seeing? The phone numbers of generals. Different generals, including the head of state at that time. Their phone numbers. We called one of the numbers, and it went to the presidency. And I asked myself, what is going on here? I do not have direct access to the presidency. Here is this 18 or 15-year-old Fulani boy who is carrying this phone, and he has the presidency's phone number in his phone. I said, what's going on here? What are all these generals doing in his phone? You know, how is he able to reach these people? And research showed us that, you know, it is common practice that Fulani headsmen at that time were giving those numbers in case they were under oppression by any local community. They would call, and without your knowing it, orders will come from above. The police commissioner will send policemen, or the GOC or the commander of the unit in your city would send people immediately to that location. And you're wondering, how did this happen? Because the cattle rearer had called the presidency, and an action has been taken. And me, at my level in the society, at my level of education, my level of involvement in security and intelligence and conflict
you don't have this
research,
contact.
I don't have that possibility. How come these people have this possibility? The other thing was that a lot of these cattle that we see are owned by people in the presidency, were then owned by people in the presidency or military generals. And so if you touch them, you were touching cattle that were owned by these people, and that was why their AK-47 continued to be straddled on their shoulders. So how can this problem end? It cannot end, because the men above, according to the usual slogan, are the ones that are sponsoring what is going on. Opeyemi, the banditry, the kidnapping, and all the killings that are happening have some approval from above.
Well, that's a statement, a very, very let's leave it at that.
It's my own.
Those are the words of Reverend Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura. It is not the position of the station.
Dandaura statement, you know, because in research, my research are progressive. They continue every week. We are asking ourselves what is changing on the security landscape, on the intelligence landscape, and on the conflict landscape in Nigeria. The price hikes are increasing all kinds of conflicts in the country. That government would not have the foggiest idea what's happening in our communities. But I'm privy, because of the research we are conducting in each state, to know that there are very, very complex conflicts, intrapersonal, intracommunal, intrasocietal, that are taking place. That government, being so busy, may not care about knowing about those conflicts, but we know them and we understand what is happening.
Now let's talk about the merchant of all of these conflicts. As a student of conflict management myself at the master's level, there's always been that belief that for every conflict there are merchants, there are people that are benefiting from these conflicts. No matter how small that conflict is, if it escalates, somebody is interested in de-escalation. If it is going to de-escalate, somebody is also interested in why it should de-escalate.
Correct.
So there are merchants in between. What role does intelligence play in identifying the beneficiaries and the merchant of all of this chaos? Now, there was a time where a list was said to have been sent to the Nigerian government by under the last administration, the people that are reportedly sponsoring insurgency or Boko Haram in the country. At some point, the list was not released. Very recently, some names linked to some BDC operators. The names of the BDC were released. The owners of operators were not in between those periods. But as someone that literally lives every day on intelligence gathering and raw data, how do you think intelligence or being proactive can help us to identify the sponsors or the merchants, the people that are benefiting from this chaos, Dr. Dandaura?
You had better believe it that there are conflict merchants. I was intervening in a kidnap case some time ago during the last administration. Not present. This case happened during the last administration, and a young man was kidnapped, and we're negotiating with the kidnappers, trying to see how to get the young man out. And when we succeeded in getting him out, what he would tell us was, while he was in detention with the kidnappers, that the kidnappers told him, he said, look, we don't want to do this, but there are big men that have sent us to do what we're doing. We did not have money to buy these guns that you're seeing. The big men bought the guns for us, and the big men are the ones that take the money. When we make the money, we are only given a percentage. And that the big men began by wanting to rape the government, because they began by taking sensitive officers from government that government would pay, and they would make their, instead of doing contracts, kidnapping became a better contract job for the merchants. And so we began to talk with the intelligence agencies to do something about probing into finding these big men that these people talk about. And believe me, one track was followed, and when it was followed, it led to some impossible people in the last regime that you couldn't touch. People that were too important for the government to touch. All right? And you cannot name those names on radio because you will confuse the country. But the reality is that, just like Abacha said, if any conflict exceeds how many hours?
24
hours, that government somewhere is involved. Because the confidence and the assertiveness of these kidnappers tells you that they are coming from somebody who knows something and who knows somebody. They've already been told, if you are arrested, we know how to get you out. So don't be worried about, just make sure they don't kill you in the process of your arrest. If they come to arrest you, just submit to them. We will know how to get you out. And that was exactly what these kidnappers told the young man. So the reality is, if we follow the money, we will be able to track the people who are behind what is happening. It is not so easy, but it can be made easy. Government should stop telling us they do not pay ransom. Government should instead strategize how to pay ransom and track the money that they are using in paying. That's why the developed nations are getting ahead in the place of kidnap, because they would pay you the money, but they pay you money that they can track. That money, any bank you put that money, the day, if you store that money for the next 10 years, that case is waiting. All right? It does not have statute bar. You kidnap somebody, there is no statute bar to kidnap, because it is just like murder, you know. And so that case is waiting. The day that money comes out to the market, intelligence swings into action. They are tracking that money, so we can follow the money to find the people. It is a fact. But if we keep going on with this policy of government cannot pay ransom, we are giving up the capacity to negotiate our intelligence. We can't negotiate. There's something called negotiative intelligence. You collect intelligence by negotiating with the enemy. And as you are negotiating with the enemy, you are putting booby traps. Your enemy does not know you have booby traps. He is collecting your booby traps and going with them, and they help you to track them. Besides that, we can also put technology on this money. Apart from the fact that you will spend this money, we can put technology on that money, and we can use satellite to track that money. Wherever you hide it, we will track it, we will follow it, distribute the money, share it to all the beneficiaries. Yeah, and we will track it. But the problem is, we must stop saying we do not negotiate with kidnappers or bandits. Let's negotiate with them. Let's train negotiators who know what they are doing and know how to approach what they will be doing, and know how to tag what they are paying, the ransom they are paying, with appropriate technology, with appropriate intelligence resources that can be tracked, and we can follow them.
Dr. Maiwa'azi in Dandaura, one of the biggest responsibility of the government at every level is the protection of lives and properties of the people that voted for them, and even the ones that did not vote for them. The Nigerian president is not a tribal president, is not a religious president, is not a political party president. What I mean is, he's not a Yoruba president, is not a Muslim president, is not the APC president.
Right.
Whether I vote for party XYZ or I belong to religious or whatever, is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He's not the president of about the 9 million people that voted for him, but the president of the almost 220 million Nigerians living in this country and even outside of this country. So if you say we should get into the act of negotiating with these bandits, isn't that admitting failure on the part of the government that had failed in its principal responsibility of protecting the people?
You know, you have used failure and failed, you know, a lot of times. You know, is it news that government have failed in that responsibility? And will government not be honest with themselves? You know, we have failed. Government has failed in its responsibility to secure the people. If they have not failed, why are we being kidnapped? For instance, somebody comes to a bank in Maryland and he takes probably about 40 people in that bank as his hostages. And you will tell me that government will not negotiate? That the police will not go in there and negotiate? It is a no-brainer. Once you have failed, then you just find ways of making up. You push your people to the fire when you refuse to own up. In fact, it is irresponsibility for government to refuse to own up to their failure. Government should tell themselves the truth that they have failed in securing the lives of the people, and if they cannot negotiate, then they should pay, and we do the job. But telling us that so all of them were kidnapped. What did the people ask for? 200 million naira. And the bandits refused to come down. They stayed on that 200 million naira till they were paid. Now, this is an ordinary citizen. Does this not make me want to do something drastic to government? That me and my words have paid 200 million naira to secure the lives of two people that government should have protected. So where is governance? What part do I have in this government? If I just walk the street, somebody picks me up, and then my family will have to sell everything they have to redeem me, and then begin from the scratch again. So is that security? Has government succeeded? So let's be honest with ourselves. There's government failure, there's security failure, and the issue is not about police or soldiers. The issue is about the kind of uncooked policies that we have created that have limited the police and the soldiers from doing what they are supposed to do. We have created policies uncooked policies that have kept the police and the army in the places where they cannot function fully the way they ought to function, so that they can produce the type of results that will protect Nigerians. Because at the end of the day, if you allow the police will want to create community police. In that way, they have branches in the community that can help them do the job that they were supposed to do. Because your ratio of police to the population is so low. Police intelligence cannot do what they are supposed to be doing. DSS cannot do what they are. In fact, DSS was not even created in the first place to protect the public. They were created to protect the government. They have gone beyond their calling and the law that established them to also contribute to intelligence, collecting intelligence, analyzing intelligence from the community, you know. And so there is monumental government failure, and I'm not talking about police or the army. I'm talking about a systemic failure from the top to the bottom.
Okay, I just really needed to put that out so that people won't say, oh, they said we should not. It's just like the instance you gave. A member of my church, they were coming in from Ifewara, that's Osun State, somewhere around October last year, and they were picked up. And so, in the process of negotiating, and some of these rounds were paid, and one of the questions I keep asking is, we have NIN, we have all of this multiplication and duplication of national identities, and we still cannot trace some of these contacts where the calls are coming from. We do SIM registration, we still can't pick all of these things. Let's put that to one side. Now let's talk about trust in you talked about information and intelligence gathering at the community level, but there's some level of distrust. For instance, I know someone that committed a crime in the community, but I don't trust that if I report that person to the police, if the police arrest the person, the police will not tell the person that I was the one that came to report him, and when they release the person, I become a victim, I become a soft target in the community. Is that not enough risk why people would not necessarily want to give out information that they know about, especially within the community? And in response to that, I want to know specifically your position around state police and community policing. It is a conversation that has been on the table for a long time, but it looks like the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a bit favorably disposed towards that. And this is what I mean. The Oyo State governor had come out to say that it's time for them to have state police. The Ekiti State governor had also came out to say that a lot of other governors are also pushing, apart from the fact that some of these states already have their own state policing structure. The Lagos State has the neighborhood watch. Some of the states in the southwest have Amotekun. In Benue State, for instance, there's the Benue Rangers. In Kano, there's Hisba. In Zamfara State, very recently, the governor just commissioned the Zamfara State Local Security Network. States have almost, brought up blueprints to protect themselves, but maybe it's not formal yet from the federal government. Two things. First off, what is your take on the issue of the state police? And secondly, how can we build trust in the communities that can help people to share information to the right quarters and trust these people?
Well, the reality is that when you fail in securing your people, you must own up to that failure. Police have not been able to do what they ought to do, basically because they will tell you they are not properly equipped, and also their number does not match the number of the community. That is the federal police. Let me tell you, it is not true that it is only in this country that you have one type of police. It's only in this country. Even in some African countries, you don't have just one type of police. US, for instance, has probably close to 100 different types of police, and all of them have their jurisdiction. You have the federal police, they exist, but you also have state police. You have local government police. You have city police. In fact, within the city, there are areas of those cities, if they are too big, that they create police for them also. And so it is only in Nigeria that this problem of federal police owning everything about internal security exists. And so there is no gainsaying about it. We need state police. The only thing is there must be appropriate, well thought out policies that would go into creating this state police. And then while we're creating state police, we must immediately give room for the creation of local government and city police, so that we don't fight this thing so many times around. Let's create at least 4 tiers of police systems in Nigeria. The fear of the federal police is that they are going to lose power, but it is not true. If you have a federal police, you have a state police, you have a local government police, and then you have a city police, what will happen is that each one of them will have its own jurisdiction, and they will have their ways of synergizing. In creating this, I have a theory that I've created that I'm going to publish very soon, that would encourage this 4-tier police system, that would allow 3 or 4 different agencies that will synergize their efforts to make sure that there is no conflict between them, and they take advantage of each other's capacities. And when that is done, believe me, you are going to see crime beginning to crash. You are going to see banditry beginning to crash. Even though they have sponsors in government, they will begin to lose their powers, because all this system will begin to short circuit their arrangements. And the bottom line is, I support state police, and I encourage the Bola Ahmed Tinubu government to go full blown and go full speed before they finish this first tenure. It will be a plus for them if they create state police, local government police, and city police.
Now let's talk about the other side, which is trust with information at the local level. There's no gainsaying the fact that sometimes you don't even know who to trust or which agency to trust with information that you gather.
Yes.
You're in a community and you're seeing strange faces. You're picking up information, just like you said, at drinking places, at maybe viewing centers, for instance, newspaper stand. These are places where you can literally just sniff information out of the people. But there's that huge level of distrust between the people and the relevant agencies that are supposed to spread this information to. What can the government do to build that level of trust, so that when you have information, you feel safe to walk into a police station and report these individuals, and you don't have fear of being victimized for doing such?
Okay. Part of what you notice in this problem is that, for instance, we heard about the killing of some people. What state was that? Soldiers and police?
Delta State,
in Plateau State, just before I left. Some 2 or 3 soldiers were also killed. And so to wear military uniform in some communities will soon become a very dangerous thing. And all of it is because, you see, most communities believe that when police and soldiers work with them, they put them at greater risk, because these people work with kidnappers and bandits and herdsmen that come to attack them, and so they've completely lost trust in uniforms. And what they are calling for now is take them away and allow us to protect ourselves. If we get guns and you come to take them, we will fight you, because at the end of the day, if you live amongst us, you sell us out to our killers, attackers. And so we refuse to trust you. And I was asked this question on another radio program, and my answer was simple: government must encourage their intelligence, their security agencies, the army, the police, the DSS, and whatever other agencies work in the community, not necessarily those that don't work with it, because NIA doesn't work with the community. It has its own level of foreign affairs. And so it will be important for these people to go into because when you are talking about security and trust in government for security, these are the people that represent government to the people in terms of security. And the key will be to build effective relationships with the community. The soldiers and the police should develop relational schemes with the leaders of their community, who would also bring them in contact with the youths of their communities and the local people. For instance, when the Mangu conflict was happening in Plateau State, the youth noticed that soldiers were helping the people who were burning their houses. All right, people in uniform were seen helping the bandits that were burning their houses. So the chairman came out, for the local government came out and said, we are going to arm ourselves and we will go out and fight for ourselves. And the army came out and began to reprimand him on the media. And I rebuked the army. Why? Why are you reprimanding him? Is his life not as good as the life of the bandit? Your people are known to have helped the bandit, and they are saying we can no more trust you to defend us and protect us, so we are going to come out to help ourselves. When the youth when the chairman came out with that type of statement, the army should have befriended him instead. They should have gone to him and said, okay, look, we hear that you saw people in uniform helping the bandits. Can you give us fuller story? Don't intimidate him. If he says we are going to mobilize ourselves and protect ourselves, that means that the man has resources that he can put into use. Why not work with him to safely put those resources into use to protect the environment? If you do so, you are helping to build trust for government in that community. So soldiers and police should not come like lords to the communities. They should not come like people who are powerful. They should come like servants. They should come to the community like people who love them, people who can be trusted. But as it is today all over Nigeria, the Nigerians see soldiers and police as lords. They do not see them as people who come to help them, people who come to protect them. So to build trust, the first thing they need to do is to reach out to the community, take time to address some of the basic conflicts that they have in those communities. That is the soldiers and the police now. Seek to understand the problems of the communities and begin to flow naturally with them. All right? And create a natural flow of relationship that agrees with the community in the places where they need to agree with the community, and to educate the community in the places where they do not agree with the communities. Then the security agencies would also need to find ways to better adapt to the needs of their local communities. Don't come with your own plan to protect us. Come to study our situation and adapt yourself to the situation in our community. When we see you doing that, we know that we can trust you, because you are being relevant to our protection needs. And so we know you have come with our good in mind, because if you are coming to impose what you have created from your classroom in our community and your thing does not fit our context, we will see you as a threat, because we think that you have come here to control us so that bandits can come and do what they want to do. And so there are some very little basic things that can be done to build trust between the agencies and the community.
Okay, Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura, I've stretched you for about 1 hour 20 minutes already, and it looks like the conversation just started. But the phone lines are really buzzing, and I know the people want to talk and they want to ask a question. And in case you're just tuning in, this is Midweek Politics on Mainland 98.3 FM. I will get to do this every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. where we have conversations like we've been having all day. We have been speaking with Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura. He's a Ph.D. holder and is a very big author of huge repute, strategic intelligence, community security partnerships, Boko Haram conflict research, analysis, and management. These are the works he's put out: strategic security and public protection, preventive personnel and corporate security in a troubled world, Boko Haram tactical and strategic system, intracerebral conflict therapy matrix. These are works that my guests have been able to put out there and to help us to understand the dynamics of our security challenges, especially in the area of intelligence gathering, in the area of conflict management and conflict resolution. So it's time for you to join the conversation. And we're just going to go straight to the point. Before I start picking the calls, just your name and your contribution, straight to the point. Let's leave all of the tradition for tomorrow or Friday when my guest is there in the studio. 0913-600-0410. You can also drop your comment on Facebook, facebook.com/mainland 98.3 FM. I would also pick your comments. Let's talk to the callers. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I agree with that.
Thank you.
Yes, Opeyemi, your guest has said it all. If I remember when your guest started, number one, we have a failure of leadership. And that is the truth of it. In whatever anything that will bring solution to Nigeria, we need a good government. Now, when you also mentioned that I was able to trace one of the Fulani folks that I was able to trace the number, they discover the people in the must appear, the president, the hierarchy in military. Do you know what came into my mind? I remember when Buhari was in power. What happened in the east that they caused the Fulani men, because a cow was killed and they retaliate by killing a woman being. Did the Buhari said anything? He just cruised on. So immediately he mentioned that the guest mentioned those present on the phone. My mind just went back to Buhari. So number one, Opeyemi, this is not the issue of maybe like some guest scholars because their candidate did not win. It's not the issue. The issue, if God give us a good Opeyemi, the issue of bandits, kidnapping, everything was silent. Truly on his own, if God can influence anything, we are able to overcome the issue of the getting wrong from the INEC. We get our lesson, the right candidate is there, through the Opeyemi. The issue of all these problems naturally is resolved by himself, and the Lord will take us there. My greetings to us.
Thank you very much. From 091-3600-0410. Let's keep talking. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're welcome. Your name and where are you joining us from?
Yes, Samu calling from the program.
Mr. Samu.
Good afternoon. I need a guest, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. Opeyemi, permit me. I want to say something concerning the topic. Mostly when you talk about the police, state police. I want to disagree with your guest this afternoon. I'm asking a question. Why is it that it is when we have maybe a security maybe rising in other places or in one of the regions in this country, that is the time to hear people talking about
state police.
And I'm asking a question. Are we really sincere about this issue of state police? You understand? Those are the things. See, it is not about saying, it is not as if we don't have enough facilities. The problem in Nigeria today, let's see the fact. Can the state government, the state governors, can they sincerely tell us that if we create this state police, they will take care of they can be able to pay them a better salary? You understand? Those are the issues. Even now, look at what is happening now. We have all manner of uniform men in this country. What are they happening? What is happening? How much is their package? How much are they? How well are they taken care of? You understand? I know why I'm saying it. It is not about creating state police. How well will you fund the state police? And what is the assurance that even with the federal police, we know control of the entire structure of police in the state. Do you think you have even an opposition party in this state? If really we are really serious. So we have to look at this issue politically and come out with the clear mind that this is what we want to do. If not, we are just beating around the bush. We will never solve the problem of insecurity in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 0913-600-0410. Keep the calls coming in. We'll read the messages very soon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Your name and where you calling from?
This is Dr. Prince Obi from Ojo, Lagos.
Okay, Dr. Obi from Lagos. You're welcome.
Thank you. We are just spoken at length. He has given us an eye-opener to Nigeria security challenges. But let me say this thing at the beginning. Anytime you hear top politicians making demand for a particular thing, because it is something that will benefit the public. Most times it is for the selfish interest of these politicians, especially in Nigeria. Now, having said that, to me, if I look around the world and the kind of security architecture of a different country, there's nothing wrong with having state police. It's a very good thing. But let me tell you, practically speaking, I totally disagree with your point that Nigeria will have state police and government police. No, it will be a surety for anarchy and not troubles. Nigeria is not yet right to do police. For what I've seen, we still have a long way to go to qualify for having state police. What Nigeria should do now is to increase the number of personnel in the federal police and make sure that the police force is really good. Simple. For now, I don't see the political will on the part of government to stop the problem of insecurity. Simple and short. It's not a matter of police or no police. The political will to stop banditry or terrorism, kidnapping, is not yet there. It's not that those terrorists or bandits have more equipment than the federal forces. No. The issue is that, like your guest has said, when you catch somebody, maybe a layabout or a man, before you know it, some other powerful people from the military or whatever come and rescue him and they begin to wonder what's happening. So you think that there are some happening on the top. This is saying that we should get institutions that are powerful in Nigeria when established, like the INEC. After each election, let us have leaders who have actually won the election. Let us have the interest of the people at heart to be at that level. Not just maybe 2 thousands or 2 bribes or whatever. So even you have to have our access to power. Because they have the access to guns. They can shout, they can quarrel, and the rest of it. So let us get leadership issues right in Nigeria. That's one. Let us get the police force well equipped with enough manpower. That's another one altogether. Let that be also the political will on the part of government to solve national problems like banditry, kidnapping, and terrorism. And we are good to go.
Thank you.
The problem of Nigeria is not police now. People are very, very hungry. And we don't have basic infrastructure for national development. Like that is double life. We have been paying for electricity, no light. We don't have functional refinery. We say we are going to tell Dandaura to reduce fuel price. We put our word of mouth. Let that be complicated now. Spend them more refineries. Let me tell you something. Are you hearing me?
I'm with you. Just wrap up your thoughts.
Government is less man and can never be one. Even now, those refineries in Port Harcourt or Warwick should be sold at any price, even at a lot. The government continue to repair them, will go back to square one.
Thank you.
So, both like matters and whatever, they have to invite consultants who have technical know-how and they have a funding to manage them.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you. Thank you very much. On Facebook says Chill Wills Oluwatosin Williams. I'll pick the cause. Says may God bless your guest for speaking truth to power. All his analyses are apt. However, tribalism, religion, and lack of patriotism has remained the bane of our national future. Nothing will change until we have a fearless and patriotic Nigerian as the president of this country. Victor Jinufort says, okay, my name is Victor from Shomolu. Your guest in the studio is too loaded. I don't know what to say again. Please ask him his view about the problem in Okwama in Delta State. Okay, let's because he's going to respond very soon. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon to your guest.
Prince Wallace.
Thank you, my dear. Okay. The question I want to do to your question for your guest is this. You talk very well. You know ABC about what's going on in the country. But I want to urge you because government not to do in power alone. What you know in and out how to do it, it's better to you is to put a memo. That's a memo to the power that be. Even though the NSC, so somebody like you know, because when you talk to she negotiate with those kidnappers and this and that. Yes, and then with no idea how to go about it. Write a memo. Because when you talk to they give to private body somebody like you. That's it. They may not listen to you on this radio right now. But if you know you can do it, like a memo to the NSA. If you do this way, if you have, if you assist, if you left the country, I want you to do that. That's my only question to you this afternoon. Can you do it? That I want you to answer me.
Okay, it's certainly going to answer you, Prince Wise. Insecurity in Nigeria is a lucrative business to some elite and politicians. That is from Ralph War AGK on Facebook. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Opeyemi.
You're welcome. Your name and where you calling from?
Really appreciate your guest for speaking the truth. But the problem is that
You didn't tell me your name.
That in Nigeria, for any effectiveness in our policy, the issue of the ethnicity must be first settled. Therefore, without restructuring of the geographical location where the police or the army wanted to work, I think it will always be very, very difficult because the people at the head of affairs in Nigeria will always be loyal, even when they pretend they are not, to their ethnic background, and it is very difficult to remove. Until we restructure it that way, that is when we can build it up. Have a nice day, Nigeria.
Thank you very much. 091-3600-0410. Irrespective of what your guests have said, he doesn't end on the conversation. Let him to speak truth to power and reach out to the governments of the day so that they can help us. That is Sunday Abolade from Ikorodu. Okay, thank you very much. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello?
Hello.
Is it Opeyemi?
Yes, you're live on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Thank you very much. My contribution is
You didn't tell me your name or where you're calling from.
Very good. My name is Tunde. I'm calling from Ikoton.
Mr. Tunde from Ikoton, good to have you on the show.
Thank you. Now, I want to cast your mind back to 1993.
Please go on.
That's the June 12th election. That the MKO was about, that election was about the direct election that we had. And thank God has given us another MKO when actually people should be patient a bit. I'm very sure that man is going to do it. Now, all the issues about security that we are talking about, the man is going to be only 1 year. He has an array of issues. Can you hear me?
I'm with you, go on.
Can you hear me as well?
I'm with you, go on.
He has an array of issues. He has an array of issues when he came to. In you or even your guest there, with all due respect, it is what May 29, 2022 or 2023, and you found an empty treasury with all the issues are tendered. How how would you attack it apart from the way the man is going about it? He has already pushed the play out there. Almost the police it's a no-brainer. People know the no-brainer. State police, people can talk all the issues. State police is our work to come out and stay. If not, we're going to be an issue. Now, let's look at it. All the people that are all the very vocal opposition to government, they are already in government. The Inspector Kriamo is there. Put all of them there. What can they do in 10 months? One is not a magician. He has nothing was in the treasury. But when having the budget over 90, where is he going to get money for another system? The problem we have is the policing system and the judiciary system. Even if you arrest it, where are you going to take him to? Somebody should be married for a 12-year child in the north, and they do 100,000 charge in the court. Where is the judiciary? Where is the judges? If you want to run the court for them, we can't run the court and run the legislature. We have to be arm of government. Now they are working.
Okay, I would appreciate if you can still call back, and we still have enough time. And Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura is still live with us in the studio, and of course we're noting your question, we're picking calls, we're also reading your messages on Facebook side by side. So in case the phone lines are busy, you can go on facebook.com/Mainland FM and drop your comment. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome.
This is Madam Easy.
Okay, good to have you on the show today.
Yes, I just want to make an observation.
Please go on.
I noticed that some callers, when you're critical of government, you yourself are supposed to keep to the rules of a station, of a radio station. If you call your name or call your name and the place where you're calling from. But if you don't want somebody to know where you're calling from, you call your name. Somebody will just come and so they are telling you, who is calling, you are pretending. The same thing he did in the morning. We know your voices. I don't want to call him, but this is government meeting. It's supposed to take your instructions from the radio station.
I understand, madam.
Yes, sir. That's my contribution.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, let's stick to the rules, and I totally understand where she's coming from. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good to have you on the show.
Yes, Mr. Opeyemi, this is Samu calling. Please, I want to correct an impression. Yes.
Okay.
There's something I noticed now. I don't know why sometimes we the caller, we always talk as if maybe we are holding break for the government. How can we be saying that the government took over? There was nothing in the treasury. No, and I'm asking questions.
Hang on, Mr. Sule. Hang on. Give me a few seconds. Please, this conversation is very open to everybody. It is my duty to correct people's position, and that means I'm in charge here. So just leave the contribution of other people, just chip in yours, and let's go on.
Okay, it is fine. I wanted to make that correction because the government has been spending money since they took over. So I don't know where those money are coming from. How many senators did we have? And the board vehicle worth almost 160 something million for each of them. Out of them, the same thing. And you are telling me that there is no money. They met an empty treasury. So we should stop deceiving ourselves. What is all this now?
Well, you still find a way to wrap that conversation.
He still did what he did.
He still did what he had to do. But it's okay. It's okay. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, Opeyemi. Sorry, the last caller just said what I wanted to say.
Okay.
We always something like give government time, give them time. The same thing we need to do together.
You didn't tell me your name and where you are calling from.
Sorry, my name is Ron. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Okay.
The same thing they did during Buhari time. Give him time. He messed the whole Nigeria up. The same thing somebody just called now. There's no money, there's no time. People were cheap. Now they're sharing palliative that we never want. So doing the right thing. They try sharing palliative. Then in terms of insecurity, the problem is that it seems that some of our elites and politicians are looking for security. And I tell you the truth. When we do NCS, it doesn't take 2 days. They track where the money comes from. But since how many years today, nobody traces where the money is coming from. These guys are buying motorcycles. Collecting ransom, collecting everything, but nobody can trace them. We're cheating ourselves in this country. God bless you.
God bless you too, Mr. Ralph. 091-3600-0410. Ali Abdurrahim says, your guests have really said a lot. Some callers are saying we should give the government time. Tinubu said he's going to hit the ground running and no one should pity him. As at now, his current government is a failure. Rahim from Agege, thank you very much for dropping your message on Facebook. Hello, good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well. And you?
I'm very well. Okay. Good afternoon to you, I guess.
Good afternoon, sir.
Doctor, good afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay. As far you are talking of...
Your name and where you calling from?
My name is Malam Salau, and I'm calling from Alabama.
I know you, but the people need to know you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, as far as we left our security, the head of our security in the hands of the appointment of security head, you understand, in the hands of politicians, I don't think we will go away with security challenges in this country. Today, politicians determine who will be the service chief, who will be even the commissioner of police. In fact, there are some cases that if they send a commissioner of police to the state, the governor will say that he don't want this person. They should tell him. So what is the end of that? That means the guy will not play, Ken wants to play. Isn't it? This is number one. Number two, any country that are divided, the citizens are divided on tribal sentiment, religion sentiment, political sentiment, or regional sentiment, and what have you. You will never get it right. Now, I guess how, you spoke about flying the accident, carry AK-47. They trace the cause, whatever, to president, whatever. Yeah, that is true. I can't say it's not true. Anything can happen in this country. That is obvious. But just last year, he's an intelligent expert. Just last year, there are two gun factories were discovered in Plateau. Who are those owners of those factories? Who are the customers of those people? And who owns those buildings? You understand? So these are the causes, because I mentioned Plateau. Plateau is one of the states that has case of insecurity in the middle belt. North Central. You see, let me give another example. Some time ago, either 2 years ago, a retired general of General Kali was driving from Abuja to Bauchi. And he was, blocked somewhere in Plateau, and he was killed. He was killed, and, he was buried in a shallow grave. The next thing I need, because he's a top general officer, moving. And before we saw women in a black attire that that body or that car is ancestral, whatever. He said that they will evacuate, only for them to find his car inside the lagoon and other people. And those criminals are inside the community. And the leaders or the elders or whatever, they can't say they don't know them. And after today, nothing happened. So when we have an issue of touch, magnitude, and we need the conflict to go through, that is what you see. That is why you see, sir. You see, we can't go out of it. We can't go out of it as far as security. It's my wish for us to be in a safer country. But the way things are going, we are divided. We are divided. You see a policy of state or federal government targeted either a particular tribe or a particular religion or particular... How are we divided? Even Americans that we are talking about, Barack Obama is the black American now. He's from Kenya, by his origins now. He became a president of the country. The recent vice president of America should have been there by origin. If I'm right. So, but in Nigeria, it's not true. We saw a places where, because somebody won election, they say that this person is not from. And the next thing you see is people lose their life.
Thank you.
So that is what I'm saying. So I just want him to put his own knowledge on that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Malam Salah is one of our very, everybody is equal here though, but then we're always looking forward to his contribution. Dr. Dandaura, a lot of issues have been raised, and the first of it had to be the level of disconnect between the government and the governed. I mean, you see people during campaigns going to the streets, sitting down with the voters or prospective voters, eating with them.
That's a politician.
We've seen governors, take mango, eat corn, even go to local joints, and the moment they get into office, it looks like there's a natural mystic that your plan, to how can we, about the process of governance. Maybe you want to respond to
which was the very first pushback that we got. The state police talking about the fact that they will be used to intimidate the local population. In fact, anybody who is thinking like that should consider himself insulting the sensibilities of Nigerians, because we have come a long way. Don't tell me we are not ready. We Nigerians, we have come a long way. When we didn't have educated people in this country, today if you run the street, you take 10 people and you interview them, you will discover that almost 8 of them have earned some level of tertiary education. And the people that will be employed in this state police will not be just anybody. It will be these same people, and they are developed. Please don't insult our sensibility, and we should allow the system to start and then let it grow. The Nigerian police itself, have they not used it to oppress the people in the past?
Even when they are still at the federal?
Yeah, even now, it takes a very sensible police today to be diplomatic in the way he carries out the orders that his boss gives him to oppress people, because of education. And I've seen the federal police change because of education. Before they had their crude way of collecting bribe from you, but now you have OND holders being employed as privates in the police. So the educational level of the police system is really going up, and you see them behaving better on the road. So if we start the state police, let's allow it to grow and give it time to grow, so that things will happen properly. And the state governors have their agreement that this can be done. And don't forget that if we start this state police, there are going to be structures put on ground that would supervise this system. There are going to be structures on ground that will also checkmate abuse. There are structures on ground to ensure that rule of law and respect for the fundamental human rights of people are preserved. So let's not throw away the baby with the bathwater. Because oppression can come from it, we refuse it. It's a good thing that will help us. If the present police is not helping us, then we should know that we have to innovate, and the innovation here includes the state police. And those structures that will be defined to do the things that ought to be done will include things like provision. In the paper I'm writing, the theory I told you I was creating, I am proposing that the IG of the Nigerian Federal Police should be an electoral office. It should no more be appointed by the president, nor approved by the Senate. Let the people appoint him. They tell him he wants to do what is right. But believe me, the issue of banditry will be handled in a more forceful way, because he will not be looking at anybody in government. He will be looking at those who elected him to come to perform the job. In other climes, IGs are elected, so it will not be the first time for it to be done in the world, for us to do it in Nigeria.
We are the best. In fact, this man you bring,
I write my papers, I develop them, and I publish them. So I appreciate the caller's interest, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much. Well, I remember how much millions of naira we spent on the national conference under the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan till today. I'm sure the report of the conference is somewhere dusty, dirty, and it doesn't look like the government is ready to do anything about that. Dr. Maiwa'azi, we have about 5 minutes or thereabout to say our goodbyes on the show. The calls keep coming in. Let me squeeze in this one. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good day, sir.
You're welcome. Your name, where are you calling from?
My name is Benjamin. I'm calling from Ogba.
Mr. Benjamin from Ogba.
Yes, sir. I appreciate your caller, your guest.
Thank you.
They have stated it all. Nigerian, I was into security. I was a military man and I retired. I know what I've witnessed. So what he said is exactly what is happening in this country. The retired general are behind it all what is happening. Thank you. God bless Nigeria.
Well, that's a big statement. Dr. Dandaura, let's talk about the issue of patriotism real quick. In all of this chaos, there are enablers, people that see things and refuse to say something. There are people that see this evil and they choose to look away. There are also people benefiting from this evil, the ones we call merchants. There are people that for whatever reason they're not even benefiting, but because they just don't feel comfortable with the fact that if this country works, it doesn't make them happy. Have we failed in the conversation of patriotism in this country? Let's close the conversation from that perspective today.
Well, the reality right now is that Nigerians are not thinking about loyalty to this country. Everything is just out of shape. People are looking for what to eat. They have no time to give themselves to loyalty. However, I think that our leaders should be loyal to the country. That's where it begins. It should be leadership by example. If we see loyalty to the country, and who is the country? We are the country. Leadership should show us that they are sensitive and they are concerned about the pains that we are going through, the hunger we are going through, the shortages we are going through, and the severities that the local people are suffering. If a man at my level is crying, then I wonder what's happening to the farmer in the village who does not have any form of income, any form of support, any form of help from anywhere, and they are just depending on the elements. Government must take it as a point of intention to do something to settle the pains that Nigerians are going through. When that does happen, believe me, you will see that people will die for this nation. People will come back again. If Bola Tinubu can settle the pains that he has created by the removal of subsidy and the hike of everything in this country, if he can settle this problem, I assure you that Nigerians will vote him again.
Well, that's how do I put it now? That's a cheat code for the president. You know what to do. Fix some of those problems, and your second term is guaranteed. Well, some PDP governors are already saying that they are endorsing the president for second term, even while he had not spent 1 year in his first term of office. Political patronage is one of that problem that we are facing in this country, and I hope that I will have more time to have that conversation. Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura, I can't thank you enough. And I'm sure the callers cannot thank you enough as well at the efforts you put in to make sure that each time you're coming into Lagos, I'm always the first set of people to know. And out of your call, I know that as you're leaving this, the first person, not even one of the first persons, because I know that as you're leaving here right now, you have another long lecture from 4 o'clock till maybe at night. I want to wish you safe flight back to Jos tomorrow, and I want to also tell you that we appreciate everything you do for us as a station, as a people, and most especially personally I appreciate what you do for me as a mentor and as a spiritual father. Thank you very much for being with us on the show today, Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura. And now is Reverend Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura, because I'm sure a lot of people wondering, a spiritual father. Yes, he's an ordained pastor, he's a man of God, he has his church and his growing ministry. Thank you so much for all you do, and of course I don't need to hope, I know that the next time you're popping into Lagos, I'm going to be topping your menu again.
I appreciate you. Thank you for this time and just celebrating what God has helped me to study and to learn to be of use to the community.
Thank you very much. That's about the size of the package today on the show. In case you missed, you can go on our Facebook page. The program is there. The entire 2 hours is there for you to watch and watch again. And I can assure you that if there are things you ask, I would certainly forward it to my guest. It's been an amazing time on radio today, by the way. And these always come up every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. By 4 o'clock, Sage Babalola will come through. She's going to stand in for Situation Room today. But before then, 3 o'clock is The Boss with J and BB, and by 6 o'clock we will be back for Wednesday edition of Sports Cruise. It's Champions League night, and don't miss this for anything. Keep your dial locked on Mainland 98.3 FM. Once again, thank you, Dr. Maiwa'azi Dandaura, for being my guest on the show today. My name is Opeyemi Akinyode, and once again, happy birthday to my father. He's 70 today. I'm his last born, so don't calculate the age.